What's up, y'all? It's Evan from DMV Sports Zone giving you another update on all things DMV sports. As per usual, we start with hockey and the Washington Capitals. So for the Capitals on Saturday, it was as simple as no Ovechkin, no chance. Alex Ovechkin did not play in the Capitals' 6-2 loss in Vegas. The loss drops the Caps to 25-18-6, 56 points, fourth place in the Metropolitan Division. If the season ended today, they would play Carolina in the first round. But here's the week ahead for Washington. For the Capitals, the week begins on Tuesday when they head to Colorado to take on the defending Stanley Cup champion Avalanche. The Avalanche come in at 25-17-3, 53 points, fourth in the Central. If the season ended today, they would play Dallas in the first round. Colorado's coming off a 2-1 shootout win in Seattle on Saturday thanks to a game winner by Nathan MacKinnon. This is the last of two between the Caps and the Avs. Colorado leads the season series 1-0 after beating Washington 4-0 in D.C. on November 19th. On Thursday, the Capitals return home for a big rivalry game against the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Penguins are currently 23-15-8, fifth in the Metro. If the season ended today, they would play Boston in the first round. Pittsburgh's coming off a 2-1 overtime loss in New Jersey on Sunday, thanks to a game winner by Dougie Hamilton. This is the second of three between the Caps and the Pens. Pittsburgh leads the season series 1-0 after beating Washington 4-1 in D.C. on November 9th. And for the Capitals, the week concludes on Sunday when they head to Toronto to take on the Maple Leafs. The Maple Leafs are currently 28-11-8, 64 points, second in the Atlantic behind only Boston. So if the season ended today, they would play Tampa Bay in the first round. Toronto's coming off a 3-2 overtime loss in Montreal on Saturday, thanks to a game winner by Rem Pitlick. This is the last of three and the rubber game between the Caps and the Leafs. The previous meetings, Toronto took the first one 3-2 in Toronto on October 13th. Washington returned the favor with a 5-2 win in D.C. on December 17th. And now we transition to basketball and the Washington Wizards. So the Wizards are once again starting to string wins together, most recently a 138-118 win over the Magic on Saturday. The win improves the Wiz to 20-26. They've won two in a row but still sit at 12th place in the Eastern Conference, so if the season ended today, they would miss the playoffs. So here's the week ahead for Washington. For the Wizards, the week begins on Tuesday when they head to Dallas to take on the Mavericks. The Mavericks come in at 25-23, the 5 seed in the West. If the season ended today, they would play New Orleans in the first round. Dallas is coming off a 112-98 loss against the Clippers on Sunday, thanks to 30 points by Kawhi Leonard. This is the last of two between the Wiz and the Mavs. Washington leads the season series 1-0 after beating Dallas 113-105 in D.C. on November 10th. On Wednesday, the Wizards head to Houston to take on the Rockets. The Rockets are currently 10-36, last in the West, so obviously if the season ended today, they would miss the playoffs. Houston's coming off a 113-104 loss in Minnesota on Saturday. They've lost 13 in a row, and they're winless in the calendar year 2023. This is the first of two between the Wiz and the Rockets. Last season, Houston swept the regular season series against Washington. And for the Wizards, the week concludes on Saturday when they head to New Orleans to take on the Pelicans. The Pelicans are currently 26-21, the 4 seed in the West. If the season ended today, they would play Dallas in the first round. New Orleans is coming off a 100-96 loss in Miami on Sunday. They've lost 4 in a row. This is the last of two between the Wiz and the Pels. New Orleans leads the series 1-0 after beating Washington 132-112 in D.C. on January 9th. Now we move to college basketball and the 7th-ranked Virginia Cavaliers. So for Virginia, the good times just keep on rolling. Most recently, a 76-67 win at Wake Forest on Saturday. The win improves the Cavaliers to 15-3, 7-2 in the ACC. They've won 5 in a row and sit at second place in the conference standings behind only Clemson. And as of the latest bracketology, Virginia is a 3 seed. Here's the week ahead for the Wahoos. For Virginia, only one game this week. That's on Saturday when they return home to host the Boston College Eagles. Boston College is currently 9-11, 3-6 in the ACC, 11th place in the conference standings, and as of the latest bracketology, Boston College is not in the field. The Eagles are coming off an 84-72 win at Notre Dame on Saturday, thanks to 29 points by Quentin Post. This is the first of two between Virginia and Boston College. Up next, let's talk about the Maryland Terrapins. So Maryland fought tooth and nail. They gave it their all on Sunday in West Lafayette, but ultimately came up just a bit short, falling 58-55 at number 3 Purdue. The loss drops the Terrapins to 12-7, 3-5 in the Big Ten, 11th place in the conference standings, but as of the latest bracketology, Maryland is in the last 4 byes. Here's the week ahead for the Terps. For Maryland, the week begins on Wednesday when they return home to host the Wisconsin Badgers. Wisconsin comes in at 12-5, 4-3 in the Big Ten, fourth place in the conference standings. As of the latest bracketology, Wisconsin is a 10 seed. The Badgers are coming off a 63-60 win over Penn State on Tuesday, thanks to 21 points by Stephen Crowell. This is the last of two between Maryland and Wisconsin. The Badgers lead the series 1-0 after beating the Terrapins 64-59 in Madison on December 6th. And for Maryland, the week concludes on Saturday when they welcome in the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Nebraska is currently 10-10, 3-6 in the Big Ten, 13th place in the conference standings, ahead of only Minnesota. And as of the latest bracketology, Nebraska is not in the field. The Cornhuskers are coming off a 76-65 loss at Penn State on Saturday, thanks to 23 points by Andrew Funk. This is the first of two between Maryland and Nebraska. Up next, let's talk about the Virginia Tech Hokies. So for Virginia Tech, the slide just keeps going on and on and on. Most recently, a 51-50 loss at number 19 Clemson on Saturday. The loss drops the Hokies to 11-8, 1-7 in the ACC. They've lost 7 in a row and sit at 12th place in the conference standings. As of the latest bracketology, Virginia Tech is not in the field. Here's the week ahead for Tech. For Virginia Tech, the week begins tonight when they return home to host the Duke Blue Devils. Duke comes in at 14-5, 5-3 in the ACC, 8th place in the conference standings. As of the latest bracketology, Duke is a 6th seed. The Blue Devils are coming off a 68-66 win over number 17 Miami on Saturday, thanks to 17 points by Kyle Filipowski. This is the first of two between Virginia Tech and Duke. And for Virginia Tech, the week concludes on Saturday when they welcome in the Syracuse Orange. Syracuse is currently 13-7, 6-3 in the ACC, 7th place in the conference standings. As of the latest bracketology, Syracuse is not in the field. The Orange are coming off an 80-63 win at Georgia Tech on Saturday, thanks to 28 points by Joseph Girard III. This is the last of two between Virginia Tech and Syracuse. The Orange lead the season series 1-0 after beating the Hokies 82-72 in Syracuse on January 11th. And finally, let's talk about the Georgetown Hoyas. So for Georgetown, again, the slide keeps going on and on and on. Most recently, a 95-82 loss at number 8 Xavier on Saturday. The loss drops the Hoyas to 5-15, 0-9 in the Big East. They've lost 10 in a row and sit in last place in the conference standings. Obviously, as of the latest bracketology, Georgetown is not in the field. Here's the week ahead for G-Town. For Georgetown, the week begins on Tuesday when they return home to host the DePaul Blue Demons. DePaul comes in at 9-11, 3-6 in the Big East, 9th place in the conference standings. As of the latest bracketology, DePaul is not in the field. The Blue Demons are coming off a 75-64 loss at number 22 Providence on Saturday, thanks to 29 points by Noah Locke. This is the last of two between Georgetown and DePaul. The Blue Demons lead the season series 1-0 after beating the Hoyas 83-76 in Chicago on December 29th. And for Georgetown, the week concludes on Sunday when they head to Jamaica, no, not that Jamaica, to take on the St. John's Red Storm. St. John's is currently 13-7, 3-6 in the Big East, 8th place in the conference standings. As of the latest bracketology, St. John's is not in the field. The Red Storm are coming off a 57-49 loss to Villanova on Friday, thanks to 16 points by Caleb Daniels. This is the first of two between Georgetown and St. John's. And in non-game news, it looks like Jeff Bezos is prepared to sell the Washington Post in a bid to buy the Washington Commanders. And that's it for this update. Until next time, I'm Evan from DMV Sports Zone saying we've got great content from Noah, Nadia, and Abdullah the rest of the week, and I'm signing off.